is a local author who wrote 3 books so far. The first one he started with was Hangman, which was the motorcycle club that he was a part of. He's done one called Against the Wind, which is about his actual journeys and adventures on the motorcycle and different places he's been. And then his most recent one that he's here to talk to about today is Better Lucky Than Good, and it's about his life and his journey, his transition from a motorcycle gang into becoming an airline pilot and everything in between. We love to support our local authors. Not having any idea it had gotten as big as it has, he just let me know that Hangman is one of the #1 motorcycle books of all time on Amazon right now, which is a huge achievement. We're the first brick and mortar store to carry his books. So far, everyone that has read them absolutely loves them. He's a very amazing, kind gentleman, and we're very happy to have him here to talk to us today.
We are minutes away from your book signing. How are you feeling?
Nervous.
Nervous?
It's one thing to sit and write things down by yourself. It's another to stand and talk to real people. I'll preface it a little bit. I was with the club. I was not a member yet. I was still, at this time, I was either 18 or 19, depending on which time of year it was. And I was hanging out with the club when they were having their Friday night meeting. And so we're having an ongoing tiff with a club called the Banshees, and they were down in Huntington Beach, and they were kind of trying to move into the area, and we told them, you're not going to do that. And so one thing led to another, and we ended up getting in our cars and going down there. One thing I point out in the story is that unlike on TV in Sons of Anarchy, they get on their motorcycles with their colors on and they go take care of business. That doesn't happen in real life, and they do it in broad daylight. So we would go in our cars without our cuts on. Cornered to see 4 Banshees standing in a group. As we hurried towards them, they turned to look at us, and as we continued our charge, one of them raised a pistol and fired. We kept coming at them as they turned and ran. Chasing them through the projects, I thought that the shooter had missed. They should have named their club the Rabbits instead of the Banshees because they could run so fast. Shortly after, Mark slowed down and grabbed my arm and said, "Hey man, they shot me." I said, "Where are you hit?" He said, "In the shoulder." Out with a quote by Ernest Hemingway. He says, "Always do sober what you said you'd do while drunk. That will teach you to keep your mouth shut." Flying just above the treetops of my Cessna 140, I gripped the control yoke with sweaty palms and glanced nervously at the right fuel gauge for the 100th time in the last hour. It had stopped bouncing and was now sitting steadily on E for empty. I tried to control my breathing and noticed that my hands were shaking. I was in the middle of nowhere, waiting for the engine to start sputtering and missing that it does the way it does when it's running out of gas. It was a familiar sound because I had just heard it not long ago when I had run the left tank dry to make sure I get every last bit of gas out of it. But it wasn't just the sound that got you, it was the chill that ran up your whole body. This time it would be curtains, for the airplane and probably for me. Could be months or years before somebody found the wreckage. Shaking my head, I cursed my stupidity and carelessness for making amateur mistakes. But then again, I was an amateur and probably should have listened to the warnings from the people who said this trip was too dangerous for an inexperienced pilot.
What should we know about people like yourselves who are bikers but have a lot more to them than just the image of being an outlaw? Like what keeps drawing you back to still, through all these stages of life, still hang out with bikers?
I have no problem addressing that. You know, media has been giving guys like us a bad image. They all think that we're a criminal enterprise. And that's not the case. We all have families. We all take care of each other. You know, whenever one of us is hurt or whatever, we all step in to help. We're a big family. And me, myself, I'm a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous. I've been sober for 27 years. and I help other bikers and other clubs get sober as well. And we're a big advocate on saving kids and all that other stuff. As far as I have a career as well. I'm a roofing contractor, you know, and I employ a lot of people, you know, and I'm a product of a successful life in society. You know, considering growing up as a youngster and everything else, we all make mistakes and we all do stupid stuff. You know what I mean? But as we get older, we learn how to deal with stuff in a different manner.
We have chapters all over the country. We have 3 here in Arizona. We have a lot of guys in Oklahoma. We have guys in Colorado, Southern California still, and Alaska, and
Southern and Northern California.
Northern California, yep. And
Yeah, we have some in New Mexico and Texas as well.
so for that brotherhood, that's the selfish part. That's for me to have these brothers that I can rely on, hang out with, maybe ask for help if I need it. We have a contingent over in Germany, and we're going to be going over there this summer for their 40th anniversary. They don't wear our patch yet. I've been working on them, but so when we go over there, we have people to stay with, and so that's the first part. That's the kind of the selfish part. It's for me to have all of these friends all over, and the other side of it is that I want this club to continue into the future. I have this fantasy of them reaching the 100-year mark. It's only 63 years right now, so the more I can help people keep this moving and preferably moving in the right direction, not going in the wrong direction, then that's what I'm trying to give to the club back. One of the most memorable fires was not that big, but it happened right at the edge of the town of Sonora. I was based at Columbia. That's already been talked about in the book. And I was flying the spotter plane, not the tanker. I always wanted to get into the tankers because there was better money and it was more exciting, and they were bigger airplanes, and that's where all the drama and adventure was. What we did was we orbited around over the top of the fire, and I carried a ranger with me, and he talked to the airplanes and he told them where to drop. And but my boss, the chief pilot at Siskiyou, every time I would say, "If you got a tanker seat for me," he'd say, "This is no job for a young guy like you. You need to find a real job." And I think that he was afraid I was going to get myself killed. But so one of the most memorable fires was not that big, but it was right at the edge of the town of Sonora, only about 2 miles from the end of the runway. Pushed by high winds, it quickly threatened homes and the town itself, which had many old wooden buildings that were very vulnerable. For once, the ranger and I were on the scene first. There was a lot of fuel and with trees and scrub oak. Taking off on runway 17, only climbing a couple hundred feet, the tankers barely had their wheels up when they would turn towards town and make their drops. Banking hard, they turned back to land in the opposite direction on runway 35, not shutting down the engines. The loading crews were kept busy, filling up the airplanes one after another. There was 2 tankers banked at our base. On one of our circles around the fire, I noticed flames racing across a yard towards a house that had brush growing against the side of it. I pointed it out to Ranger Watson. Tanker 76 had just come back from reloading and reported in. Jerry Watson said, "76, you see that yellow house with the tile roof next to right by that road?" Norm and 76 said, "Yeah, I got it." Jerry said, "I want you to drop your whole load right on that house." "Roger that, inbound now." 76's wing dipped and his nose dropped as he dove towards the ground. I admired those guys for their skill and courage. I held my breath as I watched the fire reach the brush growing right next to the house, and suddenly the brush burst into flames. At the same time, Norm arrived overhead with a red cloud of retardant billowing from the belly of Tanker 76. The yard and the house were now painted bright red, but the flames were gone. Norm had made the drop right in the nick of time. Many homes were saved that day, several times by drops directly on the houses as the flames were licking at the eaves. Not a single home was lost. Our 2 tanker pilots and the loading crews were absolute heroes. The next day, we were on the front page of the local paper with the big headline at the top saying, "The airmen who saved our homes." A few days later, the town held a thank you ceremony at the air attack base. A big crowd showed up wanting to meet us. We were celebrities.